I'd like to welcome to the show Mark Harris, man. Thank you so much for being on the show, brother.
Alex, thank you, my brother. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Man, I wanted you on the show, man, because hustle recognizes hustle.
Yes.
And you, my friend, hustle a lot. And
Yeah.
I see it. I don't see it often, but when I see it, we can smell our own
Yes.
uh, when it comes to hustle. And I saw you pass through my feed, and when I heard your story, man, I was like, oh no, this guy has to be on the show. I got to dig into some of this stuff. I got to ask you a question. So before we get into it, man, how did you get into the film business? Which I know a little bit of that story, but please tell the audience.
So I started off as when I was in college. I used to write poetry, but I never ever thought that I would actually make films. It never just entered my mind as far as to go into the film business.
Mhm.
But I always had a love for movies, from John Hughes to The Officer and Gentleman. You had Spike Lee, you had Kevin Smith, Quentin Tarantino. So Martin Scorsese was my favorite, but I always had this love for movies.
Right.
And it was around 1997 is when I decided, you know what, I'm going to start just writing screenplays. I never wanted to direct. I just wanted to write screenplays and sell my screenplays. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And as you may know, be familiar with, to sell a screenplay is pretty hard. If you
No, it's easy. It's you just write the screenplay, you send it in, they send you a check. It's just the way it works.
Yeah. And so with me, I was like, so it took a while. It took a while. So, but at the end of the day, I went out, I bought Sid Field's screenwriting book. I read a lot of screenplays. I just, took that time to actually learn the craft. And then from 97 to 2004, 2005, it was just writing. And then it was a situation that took place where I used to write for people, and I didn't get paid for it. I used to just write in the hopes of, okay, my script is going to be turned into a movie. It never happened. And so I had this situation where a filmmaker told me, okay, if you write this for me, this is going to be my next project. And I did it. It wasn't his next project.
Shocking, sir. Shocking. You mean to tell me you spoke to a filmmaker who told you one thing and did something else in this business? That's unheard of. I've never heard anything like that, sir.
And then I was like, okay. So it was frustrating, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because at that moment I said, you know what? At this time, if I'm going to write, if I want my stories told, I have to do it myself. I never ever stepped on a film set. I didn't go to film school. I just brought in people who knew a little bit more than what I knew, and then we made our first project. And that was the end of it. In 2005, I made my first film, and then we haven't looked back since then.
Nice, man. In 2005, the technology was let's say challenging.
It was very challenging.
Because in 2005, I made my first short film, my first major short film, which I shot on I'm going to kick it old school for everybody listening, on the Panasonic DVX 100A camera on mini DV, edited on Final Cut 4, I think. And that was color graded on that, but I used a television, just a normal television, to color grade.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did some visual effects in Shake back in the day. So what did you use for that first movie? I'm just curious.
We shot on my DP. He had a Panasonic camera, but it was the mini DV. The mini DV.
It's probably the same one.
The same thing. Yeah.
It looked it was cinematic as hell, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was fun. It was nice.
I know we're laughing about it now, but man, for people listening, you have to understand, in 2004, 2005, when someone just said 24p, we're like, what is going on? It was because all we had was that 30p video stuff from Canon, the Canon XL 1 or the XL2 or something like that, and that DVX came out. Boy, that was a beautiful camera, man. I love that camera. Yeah. I shot a lot of stuff with that little camera, man. It was great little camera. All right, enough of going back and showing how old we are. So you also had some former you kind of learned to hustle from your other businesses you did prior to getting into filmmaking. So what were some of these other hustles you were doing, and how did they translate?
Okay, so I started off, I used to sell pagers, and
What's
I
a
had a
what's a
little
pager, sir? What's a pager, sir? I've never heard of that. I don't understand
so
what
back
that is.
then, like what the doctors use, they use the little pager, and then
You mean
people
a
would call
beeper? You mean a beeper?
a beeper, yeah, and they would beep you, and you would go to a phone or pay phone, and so I
Well,
started
sir,
off.
stop right there. Payphone.
uh,
What is that? No, I'm joking. I'm
okay,
joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
yeah, all of this is like obsolete now.
I know, right?
Yes, and so I would I owned a pager business or beeper business, and what I would do is I started off first initially with selling beepers out of my briefcase. So I would go door to door. I would go on the street and just sell the briefcase. I mean, sell the beepers. And then I decided, like, you know what? I'm gonna open the business. So I opened a beeper, actually a store. I opened one in Chicago, and then I had one. I had two in Chicago, as a matter of fact. Then I had one in Indiana. And so, and from that point, then I opened cleaners, and then, which was in my community where I grew up at, we opened a cleaner. So I learned the hustle from just opening businesses and having them, fail businesses, and just learning, just the hustle, having to go out to market the business, having to go out to talk to different people, to customers. So I took that same law or that same format when I went into the film business, and I just did the same thing.
You just hustled. You just a straight up hustle.
Yes.
Man, I tell you, sometimes I tell people, like, I wish you nothing but struggle when you're first starting out. I always tell people that, like, I really do, because that really is what makes you. It teaches you how to walk the path. And that's why in my new book, I use this example. Is like, that's why lottery ticket winners, 80% of them are broke and in worse financial situation within 5 years than before they won the lottery, is because they just got the goal without doing any of the struggle. There was no struggle for that gold. And
Yes.
they didn't have the skill set to handle the success. So I always, I'm like, I wish you nothing but a slow process going up so you can learn the skills you need. And you did that, not even in the film industry, you did it outside the film industry, but you brought it into it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I've told this on the show many times. I used to have an olive oil and vinegar gourmet shop here in LA for 3 years, and I learned a lot. You want to learn about hustle? Go to a farmer's market, and you want to learn about competition. You're literally 6 feet away from your competition. I'm not joking. Across from it, and a customer walks in, and you got to get them to come to your booth. That is competition. That is hustle. And you got to look somebody else in the eye going, you're not going to eat tonight. So that's what you, so I love that. I love that. That's where you kind of got this hustle. Now, before we continue, man, a lot of people are probably wondering, so why is this guy on the show? From my understanding, you have built a career on your own outside of Hollywood, making the movies you want to make, selling the movies you want to make, creating revenue streams for these films, and able to replicate again and again. And up to date, you have, I think, 19 or 20 feature films under your belt that you have produced, directed, written, and you've been hustling it the entire time. So that's why, for everyone listening, that's why I have him on the show, because we're going to get into how he's doing this, because you are, as we like to call in the business, are a unicorn, sir. It doesn't happen. It's very rare to find someone like you in the business, at least from my point of view, who I talk to so many filmmakers. You've actually led with the business, but you also have that art aspect of it as well. So can you break down how you created a sustainable filmmaking career? I know it's a big question, but do the best you can.
Oh, well, so what I would do is initially, and it took a while. It took a while to build up my customer base. And I will say from 2005 until I say 2009, around 2009 or 2010, is I was working I started working for a furniture store. After the Pages business went out, the cleaner business went out, I started working for this very well-known furniture store in Chicago called Aronson Furniture. And I was selling furniture, but at the same time, I was building my customer base up, and I was shooting films on the weekends. And with a good friend, Ricardo Islas, and who also has made about 20, 25 films as well. So what I would do is I would produce his films, and he would shoot. He would shoot and edit my films. so we would trade off. So so we would trade off. And but at the same time, what I was doing was I would just get DVDs pressed up, and when I get DVDs pressed up, I would just go out door to door. I would go out on the street and I would sell the DVDs. So I would get like 1,000 at a time, and I would hold different events. Like I would hold a poetry event, and from the poetry event, I would do like a package deal, meaning that for $25 you get a DVD, you get some music, and you get like a plate of food. It was like for $25. So I would hold these different type of events, and where I would get 300 people to come out. And what I would do is when these 300 people come out, I would build a email list, and I would just keep them updated of what's going on, what I'm doing, and things like that. So it got to the point where I had this massive email list and this massive email list. So when I did this movie called Black Butterfly in 2009, it was a movie that we made for $9,500, and I met with E1 Entertainment One. I had a meeting with them with this guy named Alan Blackwell, and he was over like the urban division, and he was like, "Okay, how much do you want for the film?" I say, "Make me an offer." So he made me an offer for the film, and from that point, when he made me that offer for the film, I just took that, reinvested into another film, and
do you mind telling me what that offer was?
Yeah, he paid. They gave me $50,000.
It's fantastic!
Yeah.
You're living the dream, baby. You're living the dream. What year is this?
This was in 2010.
So the world was very different back then. The world was very different back then as far as content, and streaming was just stepping out.
Right, and so I don't know if you're familiar with indie flicks.
Of course I know. Oh yeah, right. I've had Cecilia on the show. Yeah, she's
Yes. So I worked with her when streaming was just. I put my earlier films on her platform, and she would pay. Like she would pay. And so those are some of the things that we done, that we were doing in order to bring in revenue. And so
you would do a sellout to E1 for that film. So that was $50,000. They own it, and that's it, is it licensed?
It's a license
for like 5 years, 7 years, or something like that.
We did it for 7 years.
So 7 years, but basically that covers it definitely covered your nut, and you made a profit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. So we, and we made a profit, and then we took it and we reinvested into other films, and we just kept going. So after we did Black Butterfly, we did a film called Black Coffee, which is a film that we did, and it had a limited theatrical release. It's a film that we did with RLJ Entertainment. And so initially I was going to do the film with Entertainment One, but for some reason if there was a miscommunication, and then we actually did the film with RLJ Entertainment, which was great, which was cool working with RLJ Entertainment. And one of the things that I just want to stress is that don't do an all-out sale of your project. The objective is to create me to own or do ownership or to license your project. So even if you look at Black Butterfly, if you look at Black Coffee, those movies that I made like 10 years ago, I'm still making money off these films, because what I do is I can relicense these films. So because it's still doing well over at E1 is going to they relicense the film. Right. And so the objective is ownership. And so that's how we were able to continue to, make films, continue to, this is what I do full time. And, have a family and things like that. So,
you can't play around.
We can't play around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The days of eating ramen in the one room apartment by yourself, those days left, because I think you and I are of similar vintages, if I'm not mistaken. So, what we did in our 20s, we can't be doing in our 40s.
Yes.
So, I mean, what I love about your story, man, is you're basically the personification of what I preach. I preach the long game, creating assets, creating revenue streams, keeping ownership of your projects, being smart how you do it. You're doing your movies for a smart number. You didn't make Black Coffee, or you didn't make Butterfly for $200,000. Like a lot of filmmakers would have. They're like, oh, I'm going to go make it. I'm going to make that's going to be the movie. You're like, no, this is one movie of a career of movies. I'm going to make it for a smart money so I can flip it and keep going.
Yes. So I already knew, like, even when making that movie for $9,500 or less, I wanted to keep it for less than $10,000. I already knew, even if I go out and sell DVDs, I'm
Yep.
going to make that money back.
Right.
It so happens that, we had a trailer and E1 said they're interested in it and they picked it up. But I already knew, hey, if I have to do just self-distribution for the film, I know I can do self-distribution and make that money back and then some.
What I also preach a lot of, and what you're doing is, obviously you know your niche. You are creating a product for a niche audience that you are a card carrying member of. Obviously, like
Yes.
like when I make my movies, I made my last two movies are based around the filmmakers and film industry. So I know that niche extremely well. So you know your niche very well, and you've built an entire business around that niche audience and
Yes.
creating being of service to that audience and filling a hole that honestly, that needed to be filled with content
Yes.
that they're looking for. Very similar to what Tyler Perry has done. Tyler's done it on a scene level.
Yes.
But again, that's the other thing I like to tell people too, is that you don't have to be a billionaire. You could just provide for your family and keep doing what you love doing. Isn't that the dream?
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yes, because at the end of the day is, so one of the things I love, you mentioned Tyler Perry, is the fact that he just opened his own studio.
Man,
You know,
what inspiration,
yes.
man.
But he knew he did not deviate from his audience. He knew that he had that Black Christian audience, and what happened is that they continued to support what he's doing, and he never deviated from that path. He never tried to go outside of his audience, and so he just kept. And look at him now, as he has a studio.
He's doing all right. He's doing okay. He's doing okay. What are we going to do? No, he is, you're right. He never tried to make he never switched over to a mass media or not a larger audience, but to cater to another audience. He's like, This is my lane. I'm going to stay in this lane. I'm going to do this lane really, really well. Yes. And I'm going to just keep pounding it for 20 years. And at the end of these 20 years, I'm going to have a studio that's bigger than Disney, Warner Brothers, and Paramount's backlot all put it together.
Yes.
It's obscene what he's been able to put together. And I preach that constantly, man. It's like, understand who you're aiming at. And I'm assuming when you're building these, when you were from your very first movie, you knew who your audience was, and you knew who your audience was. You knew how you were going to sell it and how you were going to recoup your money. Am I wrong?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because you were you were thinking like a businessman.
Yes, absolutely.
This is a product.
Like my first film, we made for my very first film, we made for $500, and it was like a feature film. We made it for $500. In my second one, we made for $500. But again, I already knew. Okay, I'm just gonna, press up DVDs. That's when DVDs were very hot. Press up DVDs, go out, sell the DVDs. So I already knew who my audience was.
And you just literally hustled on the street, just like, hey, here's my, and then you start building that. I love the whole concept of building events around your movie. You're like, hey, you're gonna get some poetry, you're gonna get a plate of food, and you're gonna get my DVD. So you just kind of like snuck your DVD in there.
Yes.
Because they'll come out for the poetry and the food generally, but like, oh, wait a minute, I get a movie too.
Yes.
And I'm assuming later on when you created these events, did you have multiple copies of other movies? Like, hey, if you guys want to buy some movies over here too, did you do something like that or no?
Well, with my movies, just my movies.
Yeah.
So when I had, every time I would release a movie, I would always have the other movies there as well. And so, but I also did festivals too. Mm-hmm. So we have in Chicago, we have festivals during the summertime all day long. So I would always, no matter where I went, I will always keep I don't do it now, but I will always keep my book bag with me, and in my book bag I will always have DVDs. And so people would always see me. They say, "Well, every time I see you have your movies." No matter where I went, I always had my DVDs with me, and I was able to sell them. And people were buying them. I would be everywhere, all over the city.
Man, that's like I said, hustle respects hustle, brother. That's you see, that's the thing, man. A lot of filmmakers don't understand that this is, to do what you're doing takes a lot of time, takes a lot of hard work, and you just don't stop. Like, you were smart when you started off. You're like, you didn't like, oh, my first movie I'm gonna make for $50,000. Like, no, I don't know enough. Like I saw in one of your interviews, just like your whole first movie was all wide shots.
Yes. Yes. The first, everything was washed. So I sent it to the editor. He's like, "Where's the rest of the movie?" I was like, "What do you mean?"
And it was in 2005, so it's not like you could go crop in on an SD image, so you can't really make a close up out of it. So
Yeah.
your whole movie was basically master shot theater. It was a play. You recorded a play, basically, is what you're
Yes.
saying. But you made the money. Didn't Tyler do something similar with his plays? He actually filmed his plays and sold it before he ever started making his movies.
Yeah. He would do his plays. He would film them, and then what happened was the bootleggers got him, and the bootleggers started selling them in the barbershops and stuff like that. So everybody was talking about my dip, and so that's what and so when he did his first movie, then it made I believe $90 million.
Yeah, it was a big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was for on I think the budget was $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was $6 million, but he made $90 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did all right on that one, and
Yes.
that's the thing. A lot of times, filmmakers, and I'm not advocating for bootlegging, or for piracy, but in the music industry, that happens all the time. And then sometimes bands literally just release their music for free, for bootleggers or for piracy to go through with it, because then they're you're going to pay to go see their show, and you're going to buy a T-shirt. You can't pirate a T-shirt, give or take. You can't download a T-shirt. So that's how they build out their business. Now there's something online I saw that you say you sold 10,000 DVDs.
Yes.
Is that basically just what we've been talking about, just hustling constantly?
No. This is just from one movie. We did this movie called I Used to Love Her.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay.
Yeah. So I always argue, but my lead actor always correct me on this, because when I say I sold 10,000 movies, I'm saying personally I sold 10,000. But what we would do is he would get some printed up. My lead actor, his name is Mayor Rob, and he would get his DVDs printed up, and I would get my DVDs printed up, but separately. And so he would be out there selling his own. He sold a tremendous number of DVDs as well. But me personally, I sold 10,000, with a film called I Used to Love Her. And we did, what we did was, also we did a screening at Ice Theater, Ice Theater was one of the most well-known theaters in Chicago. Now it's Studio Movie Grill. Mm-hmm. But we would rent out the theater, and it was 296 seats, like a 300-seater theater. And we sold it out 10 times. And people would just keep coming back. And while people were coming back, and that movie we made for $3,000.
Of course.
And when people come back, yeah. $3,500.
Oh, sorry. Let's add that extra 500 because that really helps a lot.
Yeah. So that's amazing. Yeah. We would sell the DVDs, have the DVDs ready for them as well. And so, yeah, I mean, it was, but at the same time,
No, I was going to ask you. So your actor selling it, is he keeping that money, or do you guys have a deal? How does that work?
He's keeping the money.
So that was the deal. You can. So you basically go act in the movie for free. Whatever you could sell is yours.
Yes.
I'm not sure how good a long-term business plan that is, but it worked for that movie.
Yes.
But at that budget range, you're just why not? It makes perfect sense, and it gives him. I mean, for him, that's actually really great. There's another story. Another filmmaker who does the same thing. That has his actors sell his movies, and there's nothing more. There's no more motivation than an actor trying to sell a movie that he's the star in.
Yes.
and he goes, and I'm gonna get paid.
Yes. And he made his name is Mayor Rob. He always correct me on that. He's like, Mark, look, you forget we sold more than 10. You sold 10,000 on your own. He said you forget the number that I've sold. And Mel is a poet too. Like when I would do the poetry, he would host he would host them. Mm-hmm. And so we would do it was like a partnership. And he's been in maybe 4 or 5 of my movies. Mm-hmm. So it was been like a partnership whenever he was in my first movie. And we sold a ton of those DVDs. That's all we did with that first movie, is just the one we shot all wide shot. It was all wide shots. We still put it together and we went out and sold it.
Are you still selling it? Or did you license it? No, you just thought that's it. No, can't show that. Can't show that anymore. So let me ask you, man. It's so much. We're having too much fun, man. Because I forgot what I was going to ask you. Or your marketing strategy. Oh no, DVDs. So DVDs were a thing when you started. DVDs aren't as prolific now in as far as selling your movies. So what are you doing I mean, I'm assuming their budgets have gone up since then. How is that working? Like, how are you actually making money? What is your distribution plan now? What are your revenue streams now in the last like 3-4 years?
Okay, thank you for that question. So I've been doing a lot of stuff for television, and so I've done things for like TV One, BT. The last project that I've we done and that actually got distribution, it was a film that we did called Black and Privilege Volume 1, which is on Netflix. And I would love to, I know there was a scene on that people that went viral. Mm-hmm. On as far as with Black and Privilege, there was a scene that went viral that I'm definitely going to talk about. Why did we actually edit the scene the way we did? So with that film, we made that film for like $4,500.
Oh, come on, stop it!
Yeah.
And you put that on Netflix?
It got on Netflix, yeah.
Son of a bitch! How did you get it on? How did you get it on Netflix? I'm just curious.
So I have a like my email list again. That email list, and so like. My email list is like massive. Mm-hmm. Like it's really, so those are some of the things you have. Like for me, I had to like show like
it's an asset. It's an asset.
Yeah, it is. And so so that one we just we licensed it out to Netflix for 1 year. And so after that year, what happens is that we get it back and we can take it over back to Netflix or Hulu or Amazon, and make more money off of it. So
So you made that movie currently for $4,500.
Yes, 45,000. I'm sorry.
Oh, 45. Still, $45,000 is still that's still a fairly low budget film. So you made that film for $45,000. Everyone's getting paid.
Everyone got paid.
Everyone's getting paid. And you licensed it to Netflix, which I'm assuming. I don't know if you're comfortable telling us what the price was on that. Did you?
Yeah, I can't talk about the price, but it was
more. It was more than what you paid for it.
Way more.
That's all we need to know. That's good. That's good enough. That's good enough.
Yeah.
So way more than you paid for it, and that's current. All right. So other than these, like that's a one-off, I'm assuming. Like because you make so many films a year, how are you generating revenue now? Other than just like that, I'm assuming you're not licensing all your movies to Netflix.
No. So
okay.
I have movies out to mostly every. My movie has played on every like Black network, from BT, TV One, Aspire, Bounce, like every last one. So what I do is I do like a 6 month to a year license, and they pay. And once they pay, I could take it somewhere else. Like I'll give you an example. Black Coffee, right? Black Coffee has been aired on BT, Bounce, and Aspire. So that's like 3 different networks, that has been aired on. And once the license is over with Aspire, we may take it over to Netflix because of the success of what Black and Privilege is doing. So, so that's the key. The key is to license your project, and you always make money because people need, one of the things the networks do is they need content. And if we're providing content, and then not only are we providing content, is that we providing a marketing company that we have that we're going to market the film and make sure that people watch the film. So whenever my film,
no, go ahead.
Yeah, so whenever my films air on in any of these networks, they always successful.
So because you're working, so if I could break this down for everyone listening, you've not only created an asset with your projects, you've actually created an asset with the marketing, because you've built this massive email list that you should bring to the table as a package deal with any. So if you sell to BET or you license your film to BET for X amount of dollars, you tell them, I'm going to give you my movie and you're going to pay me this, but I'm also going to support it with marketing because I know exactly who my audience is and I can target that audience and tell everybody that it's on BET.
Yes.
And then BET is like, great. So that's what Netflix wants. And that's what everyone listening, that's what these streaming services want. All the streaming services want eyeballs. They want subscribers. They want action. And if you can provide them that, especially in a niche audience like the urban market, like you have, that's excellent. And the other thing is too, man, you've become kind of just like a leader in this space because you just been doing it so long.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they're like, oh, this guy's been doing this since 2005. He's been doing this 15 years. He's got 20 movies under his belt. He must be doing something because he's making quality projects and they're being licensed. So regardless if you know what you're doing or not, they're just like, he must know something about this market. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, yes. Yes, we've been blessed. We've been blessed. And also, I mean, I have a great team.
Yeah.
A great team of people that I work with, and we make them and put them out.
How many do you do a year?
I try to do 2 movies a year.
Just 2?
Yeah, just 2.
Come
yeah.
on.
So the objective is and what we're working on is like when I look at like when it comes to like a filmmaker, like I love Martin Scorsese. He's the god of it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But when I look at like my inspiration, I look at Tyler Perry as far as like, okay, this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at the studio, I'm like, so this is one of the things that, we're working towards, whereas, we're actually not just doing my projects, we're taking other people's projects, and producing their projects as well. And so, and within my community, I'm from a community here in Chicago called the Inglewood community. And from the last year or so, we just been working and we finally found some land that we can actually say, okay, this is what we can build on. So we're looking to do our own studio as well,
That's
but my
awesome.
inspiration, yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so my inspiration, like when my inspiration has always been following, because I do a lot of research. And I just, and which is very important, is research and just to study different people, just to study, what is Tyler Perry doing that's making him successful? What is Spike Lee doing is making him successful? What is Martin Scorsese doing? Just studying these different people and studying how these different studios are able to do what they're doing. Even though I know you're saying that, even though Tyler Perry, we say that his studio is bigger than some of the main studios. In theory, yeah, man.
The land, it's bigger. He's not bigger than Disney. He's not bigger than Warner Brothers. He's not bigger than Paramount. But the actual studio land and his facilities, yes, they are.
Yes. Yeah. So I think people get confused with the two. Like, they're bringing in $1 billion for one movie. So I'm talking about the studio.
They're bringing $1 billion off the dresses that they sell off the characters of that one movie. Are you kidding?
Absolutely. Man, it's just like, so
I don't see a lot of Medea dolls in merchandising. I think a Medea doll might do well. I'm just saying, if Tyler's listening,
he's gonna have it out.
No, I was going to ask you. So the only way you're making money with your movie is just straight up licensing. Are you creating any other revenue streams from your films in any other way?
No, I'm not. So here's some of the things that we are planning on doing, or not planning on. We have in the works is that one of the things we're gonna open a cafe. And we're going to open the cafe. One of the things that we're working on is a cafe called Black Coffee, which is named after my film. Mm-hmm. And within this cafe is going to be tailored to sell the merchandise from my different films, whether it's T-shirts, hats, coffee mugs. So it's going to be like the merchandising store that we're going to sell all the products.
But it's also a coffee shop.
But it's also a coffee shop. Yeah.
Nice. So you're building out a business, and you're just leveraging people loving coffee and obviously liking the movie. And I'm sure you'll have the movies playing in the background and trailers and all sorts of stuff. So it'd be like the Disney store, but for your projects.
Yes. So so we have to.
That's awesome.
For me, I have to study like Disney's to see how they have the theme parks and the stuff like. I'm like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. So they have so much revenue coming in. It's crazy.
So I'm going to send you a copy of my new book coming out called The Rise of the Filmtrepreneur, which is how to make money with your business, how to create multiple revenue streams from your business, from your films. And you need to read this book because I think it's going to make your mind explode. I got a lot of ideas, a lot of case studies in there about how you can actually make money with your films in addition to what you're doing, because you're killing it. Don't get me wrong. You don't need my help. You don't need anything I got to say. But in addition to it, I think you're leaving money on the table, sir. Just from my point of view, you're leaving money on the table.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to reading your book because I know that that book is definitely something that I need.
Now, let me ask you a question, man. What is your experience with the good old fashioned traditional distributors? I hear they're honest, I hear they're very fair, and they take good care of filmmakers. They pay on time, and they're very easily found on the phone, and the contracts are very straightforward. So, can you tell me what your experience is with dealing with film distributors?
Work with have an entertainment attorney that understands the deals. Um, so when you're dealing with certain companies work more honorable than other companies. Like E1 is from my experience dealing with E1. Whenever the check is due, whenever payment is due, then it's on time. From working with RLJ Entertainment, who's now owned by AMC, whenever I'm owed a check or a payment, everything is on time. But there are other companies, which I'm not going to name, which are smaller companies who, you have to hunt them down for your money. Like, what's going on? You have to have your attorney to send, reach out to them. So, and also you have to, like, one of the things. This is how a lot of distribution companies get over on filmmakers. And this is what, so I had put a film out through Maverick Entertainment called "I Used to Love Her." Yeah,
I'm from Florida. I used to work with Maverick Entertainment. I'm so hold on. Let me get that dirt off of me because I feel a little slimy. I worked with them early in the early 2000s over at Maverick Entertainment down there in Florida.
yeah.
So yeah, they're sorry about that, people. Let's move on.
I totally understand. So one of the things that I did was, look, with my film is you can't put marketing in there. Like, no way that I need you to market my film because you don't market your film. So what they do is they put a marketing budget in there of like $50,000 or so, and you will never see a dime coming back, because the reason you'll never see a dime coming back is because they always going to say they haven't recouped their marketing, and that's what companies do. And also, if they are going to do, if you do want them to do marketing, ask them where are they going to market your film to, the different platforms, the different blog sites, things like that. And you want to see like a list of who they paid and how much they paid. You're entitled to those things. And so
you're adorable, sir. You're absolutely adorable if you think a film distributor is going to give you that kind of breakdown. You are entitled to it without question.
You're definitely never going to get it. Yeah, so you're never going to. So what I did was with them is like, I told them, I don't need you to do my marketing. Just put out the film, And so, but don't fall for the whole marketing trick, as far as them telling you they're going to do all this marketing for your film, because they're not going to do it. Yeah,
without question. And let's not even get into. There's so many ways that they can screw you. It's not even funny. It's just obscene amounts of way. I actually wrote 2 chapters in my book about predatory distributors, just breaking it all down.
You talked about the 25%. What do they call it?
Which there's the 25% rate, whatever the cut of 25%.
The stocking fee.
25. Oh, that's for physical media. Yes, for physical media, restocking fees. Let's not talk about. Don't forget about cross collateralization. Let's not even get into that. And and I know people are listening like, what is that? I'm like, you'll have to read the book. But there's so many ways. How about film markets? Don't forget the film market chargebacks.
Yes.
Those are fun.
They charge you. Even if they're out there and they buy a bottle of water, they're charging you for it.
I just saw a report come in from a filmmaker who was charged $230 for closed captioning.
What?
For a 60-minute movie. It was a 60-minute movie. And wait a minute, we sent in the closed captioning.
And they charge you for it.
And it's a thing. So because it's probably default or template, like it's kind of like boilerplate. Like, yeah, we're just going to say we charge them for this. We're going to say we charge them for that. We're going to say we charge them for that. And they don't even look at it until the filmmaker calls up like, hey, what's this? I'm like, oh, sorry. If you're not on top of it, they'll just take advantage of you left and right.
And also you can do your own closed caption, do your own artwork too.
Of course.
Because it's
trailer.
Your own trailer. Just do all of that, all the marketing stuff. Just do all the promotion stuff. Just do that stuff yourself. It's cheaper.
Well, of course, that's what I recommend all the time. Is like give them as many elements and deliverables as humanly possible, so they can't charge you for a damn thing. So because that's
Yeah.
where they're going to upcharge you. I saw people charging for closed caption at $1,500, man. $1,500 for a movie, man. That's just absolute pure rape. It's just
Yeah.
it's horrible, man. It's horrible. Now, why, in your opinion, man, why do most independent films lose money?
I don't know. I don't know if they really lose money.
Yes, they do, man. They all lose money. There's like 95% of independent films don't make money. I want to know, in your opinion, like you are a unicorn, sir. You are a unicorn. There's not many filmmakers that make a lot of money in this business, let alone they might make one movie or two movies, but to string along 20 movies in a course of 15 years is an unheard of feat. It is a rarity. I've seen it. I know it. Trust me. So, in your opinion, what are some mistakes that filmmakers make that could better their chances to make money? Let's put it that way.
Okay, I think what we just discussed is very important. Meaning that when you do your budget, try to keep your budget pretty low. Without ruining the quality of what you're putting out. But at the same time, make sure you put in your budget. Room for a trailer, your 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 artwork, and things like that. So you have to definitely deal with an entertainment attorney. And not only that is that you have to the distribution companies have to know that you will audit them as well. They have to know that, like you're not afraid. Like I was dealing with one company. Now I don't want to name the company, but I was dealing with one company that I had told them, like, look, if we don't get this thing straight, I'm gonna have to audit you all. And that's what we had to do. And every time you audit a company, you're gonna trust me, you're gonna find money every single time. So if distribution companies were more honest, filmmakers can actually, if they were more honest, filmmakers can actually make a living out of doing this. But at the same time, yeah. But at the same time, filmmakers have to be, you have to think like this as a business. And if like for us who, if you don't understand like the business aspect of it, get people around you who know the business. Don't be afraid to sit down with a person, a business owner, and say, okay, or actually getting your book and reading your book and doing your research. Like, every single day you should be finding out what is going on with Netflix, what is going on with Hulu, what is going on with Amazon, what is going on with the major studios, things like that. What is going on with companies. Mm-hmm.
So what's going on with companies in the business and stuff? What
Right.
are you not self-distributing yourself? Like, are you only licensing? Are you not going to like SVOD yourself or TVOD yourself or AVOD or anything like that with your films? Are you not self-distributing? There are no other revenue streams coming in other than licensing it to TV and licensing it to other places?
Well, so I have foreign too. So
Okay.
what I do is, I have foreign. So I have whenever I do a deal, so when I do a Netflix deal, I have a guy who takes it over to Netflix for me.
Mm-hmm.
So Alan Blackwell, who I've been working with since, who gave me my first deal, and so what he does is, he takes the film, he takes it to Netflix, but outside of that, I'm doing everything else. Like I do a deal with Mnet, which is a company out in South Africa. Any other companies that we deal with, I'm doing those deals myself.
Now, you said something really interesting in another interview, and I had to bring it up here. I've been dying to hear this. You say that most people say black films don't travel well, that it is and you're saying that's a myth, where like urban films and the whole subgenre of urban films, African American films, black films, that they don't travel well. Like they don't go well in Europe, they don't go well in the Middle East, or in Asia and things like that. What's your experience?
Well, my experience, because here's the thing, my experience has been absolutely amazing. Here's why. Even when you're dealing with comedies in general don't do very well.
Mm-hmm.
They don't travel very well. So when you're looking at most black films are comedies. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking at the more serious films, and like my films, like if you take a film like, let's just say like Black Butterfly, or a film like Black and Privilege, right? Like those films, a film like Black Coffee, those films have done very well in Africa, because we have 1.8 billion people in Africa. You have all these people in the Caribbean. You have all these people in Europe. So my films have done very well. Like like a guy in Nigeria sends me a inbox, and he has a picture of black coffee and it's been bootleg over in Nigeria, you know, in Nigeria. And so I know from experience, like even when I did the film, I used to love her. I used to love her. I've sold so many copies. I sold copies in Amsterdam, like, and this was me doing self distribution and just
This is a DVDs or
just DVDs, and I would just mail these DVDs off, like in
also,
Europe.
but this is self distribution, so you're just targeting those people yourself. You're not actually making deals with distributors in those areas.
Right. This is me going directly to the people, not to the distribution company. But as far as you talking about Black Coffee, Black and Privilege, like Black and Privilege is on Mnet. I'm sure you're familiar with Mnet. Mnet is like the major broadcast television company in Africa. Mm-hmm. So when you're dealing with but they reach like 50 I think like 50 countries in Africa, and so when you're dealing with Mnet, I deal directly with Mnet. Now the only market that I haven't hit as far as with on net and when it comes to like network, I mean, the broadcast companies is the Caribbean market, and that's one of the things I'm working with. I'm working with a guy named Joel, and he's out of St. Martin, and I flew out there. I did a workshop in St. Martin, and so I'm working with him now to see how we can get our projects over to the Caribbean market. You know, so there are these markets, but the thing is that we know comedies don't do well overseas. So if black people just putting out comedies, of course, like they don't understand a comedy. You know, they don't understand the Madea. They don't understand like the those type of the jokes.
But the thrillers and the dramas, they do.
The thrillers and the dramas, they do. You know, and those do well. Those do well. Like I have done very well in those different markets.
Yeah, man, you got to read that book, man. There's so much money you're leaving on the table. I want to help you, man. I want to get you more money for your projects because I think you're doing such an amazing job, man. Really, you are an inspiration without question, man. You're an inspiration. I hope everyone listening, gets up off their butt and stops complaining about it and stops with this lottery ticket mentality. Like, this movie is going to blow me up. This is the one that's going to get me the Hollywood deal. And you're like, nah, man, you're out of Hollywood. You're out of the system. So you're in Chicago and you're just you're making your movies. You're doing your thing. I'm selling it locally. I'm doing this, and this. And you're building a business for yourself, man. And you're supporting your friends, your family, your team rely on you and what you're doing. I mean, it's really wonderful, man. It really, really is wonderful, man. So I congratulate you 100%, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So I'm going to ask you a few questions I ask all my guests. Yes. What advice would you give a filmmaker trying to break into the business today?
The best advice I can tell you is to break into the business today is just go out, get you a screenplay, make your movie. I mean, because with the technology we have today that we didn't have 20 years ago, I mean, there's absolutely no excuse at all not to make a movie. No excuse. Like, you have so much talent that you can find on even on social media. So much talent. And people just want to work. You have, just reach out to I think a lot of us are afraid to even reach out to the SAG office. Just keep in mind there are SAG rules and SAG laws and SAG fees or that the SAG actors can work for. Mm-hmm. Just go to the SAG office and make sure, and hire SAG actors. I think it's like $125 a day, something like that.
It's $125 a day now, yeah.
Yeah, $125 a day. And actors want to work. So go out and just make your film. Nothing can stop you. Nothing can stop you.
Yeah, the technology is cheap enough now, man. And what do you mostly shoot on? Just I know a lot of people are probably going to ask that. What do you shoot on? What do you edit on? So
now we're shooting on the Red.
Okay.
The Red Scarlet, and then Da Vinci.
You're speaking my language, brother. You're speaking my language. Before that, what were you shooting on before the Red?
Shooting on the Canon.
Okay, yeah, that's still a good camera. I mean, it's fine. And the Red and Da Vinci now, so you're solid. You're solid.
Yeah.
You're solid, man. Okay, what is the lesson that took you the longest to learn, whether in the film business or in life?
The lesson that took patience.
Man, that's like the number one answer, man.
Yes, patience. I mean, like patience. One of the things I think you said that was key was everybody thinking like, that with this one movie it's going to break me to Hollywood. we have to, like, it took me a while to realize that's not my objective, and I don't want to be, I never, I don't want to be a hired director. I want to be a content. I want to create movies, create content. I want to partner with distribution companies.
You're a film entrepreneur, sir. You're a film entrepreneur.
Yes. Yes. So patience. Just be very patient, and don't look to see how you can not just be a higher director, but how you can, like, look long term, and study the people that went before us. I had to study and I had to look at Spike Lee, right? Spike Lee been in this business for over 30 years. And maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, he went on go. And this is not a knock against Spike Lee, but he went on GoFundMe to finance to raise $1 million for one of his movies. And I'm looking, and I had to think to myself, why does he have to go on? Maybe he just didn't want to use his own money, but why does he have to go on GoFundMe to raise $1 million to shoot one of his movies? I never want to be in that type of position that I have to go to people and go to a GoFundMe to get money from people to get their hard-earned dollars to make my movie, without them getting something in return, and that return of their investment. So I had to, or I want to be in a position where I can put up my own $1 million to make my movie, or my own $5 million to make my movie, and go to somebody like a Screen Gems or Lionsgate and partner with them and say, okay, I want you to just be my distribution company. That's the vision that I think we all should have, because times are changing now. Times are changing, and you don't just want to see yourself as a hired director. So, and at the end of the day, you can leave, like, if you create, let's just say, like, all of my films that I've created, if something happens to me now, they're gonna be passed down to my sons, and so
revenue will keep coming in,
and the revenue will keep coming in. So you want to keep that legacy going and going and going, and that's the most important thing.
I was talking to somebody who worked with Werner Herzog. Are you familiar with that Werner Herzog, the famous director? If you saw his face, Werner Herzog, right? And Werner's early movies, he told the guy I know, Klaus, told him, he's like, if it wasn't for my early films, he owns all his early films. His first 5 or 10 movies that he shot in Germany, he owns them, and he licenses them out all the time. He goes, that's what kept me alive all those years while I was still hustling. I'm still trying to get seen, and still, it was those early movies that I owned, and I kept licensing, and I kept making money, and it's residual income constantly coming in. And that's how you have to think. I mean, you got to look at what Tyler did. Tyler Perry partnered with Lionsgate.
Yes.
He partnered with Lionsgate. Lionsgate makes a lot of money because of Tyler Perry. They don't own him. They don't own his movies. They're not hiring Tyler to make movies. They're partners in this. And that's what I'm preaching. It's trying to become more thinking about it as a partnership, and not like, oh, you're the only way I'm going to make money, and I got to trust that you're going to take good care of me, because we know how that works out with film distributors.
Yes.
You've got to set that deal up in a way that you are partners in it. And if you're not, then that's where the problems lie, and that's where all your hard work is. I call it a non-tax deductible donation. Like, if you sign one of those, it's a non-taxable deductible donation you're giving to a film distributor, basically, for 7 years.
Yes.
Right? Unless you get paid or are able to do something with it. Now, what is the biggest fear you had to overcome to make your first film?
The biggest fear was confidence. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I needed, and it took a while, because when you don't, never been on a film set before, you don't know, you go on a film set, you don't know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You're trying to figure it out as you go along, and as the more films you make, go on and on and on. Because like my first 6 or 7 films, mm-hmm. It was just me, my DP, and my gaffer. It was like 3 of us just making films, and I didn't have a real crew until I shot Black Coffee in LA. is when I had like a real crew. I had a real first AD, and but I've never had those type of things when we were making our own film. It was like three of us just running around making movies, and so I had to, I was, each film I would get more, I would be more confident in what I'm doing, and so that's what I had to the fear of not knowing. Of not knowing what I'm doing, of not knowing the art side of, I understood the business a little bit, but just understand the fundamentals of making a movie, and so that's why I had to, and every day is a learning process. Every day we continue to learn. Even Clint Eastwood, he said, I was just reading an interview, and he said, like, every time he gets on stage, he's learning something. He's learning something new. And so we can't get in the position to think that we just know it all. Every day you got to continue to learn and continue to condition your mind and strengthen it.
Yeah, without question. That's one of the benefits of having this show is I get to talk to people like you, and I learn something new every day, all the time. I mean, I've been doing this thing for 25 years, man. I've been doing this hustle 25 years, and in the film business, and every day I'm learning from something new every day. And I just know one thing I realize is I know nothing, and I have to keep that cup has to be open, and it can't be full. It has to be at least halfway full. So as new stuff pours in, it doesn't overflow. You got to keep getting that information in as much as you can and educate yourself. Now, the toughest question of all, sir, 3 of your favorite films of all time.
Oh, okay. That's not tough.
Okay.
I love Black Orpheus, which is a film that was made in Brazil. Yeah. That's my all-time favorite. I would have to say Do the Right Thing and Officer and a Gentleman.
I love Officer and Lou Gossett, man, and Richard Gere, and that was great. People don't understand that Do the Right Thing was so good that people kept showing up to Spike's movie for the next 20 years in hopes that they would see another Do the Right Thing.
Absolutely.
Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely.
And then I think we finally got it with Black Klansman. I was like, here he is. Here it is. But Do the Right Thing is still, man, it's still
his best.
It's still his best, without question. Now, where can people find you and the work that you're doing?
It's easy. It's you can just Google 1555 Filmworks. That's 155 Filmworks or Mark Harris Films. My name is a very common name, so you can. I think the best way to do it is 1555 Filmworks.
Got it. Mark, you have been an absolute inspiration, man. You've dropped some great knowledge bombs on the tribe today. I really, truly appreciate you taking out the time, because I know you hustling right now. I'm sure you got to go hustle, do something right now after this interview. So I do appreciate it, man. But thanks again for being on the show, man. I appreciate it.